How about the Jordan Mason trade version of what the heck is going on in the 49ers building? Welcome to another alarm update. It is Sunday following a very busy Saturday of business for the 49ers. We woke up to news of Kyle Juszczyk re-signing with the team. We went to bed with the news of Jordan Mason being traded to the Minnesota Vikings. I'm going to talk a lot about strategy for the 49ers because everything now should be focused on that NFL draft where San Francisco has a lot of picks, the most picks in the NFL. This is their 11 pick selection following the Mason trade. Thank you to our SF 49ers. Raj does a great job with some of these graphics. We borrowed one from Twitter, so you can go check out his work on social media. But this is the pick collection, which the 49ers have been progressively optimizing over the course of this offseason. Consider the fact that entering the offseason, the 49ers didn't have a single fifth-round pick. It had been stripped from them because of an accounting error that the NFL discovered in 2024. Well, the Deebo Samuel trade to the Washington Commanders, along with this Jordan Mason trade to the Minnesota Vikings, has allowed the 49ers to move back into the fifth round twice. As you can see here, pick 147, pick 160. 160 is the one that has just come over from Minnesota. So the 49ers now are represented in every round except for the sixth because there was a pick swap yesterday with Minnesota to move to that number 160 spot. Consider the fact that the fifth round has produced George Kittle. It's produced DJ Reed. It's produced Talanoa Hufanga. It's produced Dre Greenlaw. It's produced Deommodore Lenoir. The fifth round has been very fertile for the 49ers in the NFL draft. So there's a lot of sentimentality attached to players like Jordan Mason, and I absolutely get it because he ran so hard. He put up some highlight reel plays. Opponents made business decisions, as Trent Williams once joked, whenever Jordan Mason was barreling straight at them. The kind of player that did make the 49ers better. But Jordan Mason has also now commanded a massive raise. Over the course of his 3 years with the 49ers, Jordan Mason averaged a salary of $818,000. He's now making $6 million a year with the Minnesota Vikings. And the 49ers, the tender price that they placed on Jordan Mason would have been $5.3 million for the 2025 season. So as you can see, a raise of about 6x for Jordan Mason was in line, and he no longer was the extremely cost-efficient running back that he was as an undrafted free agent over the course of the first three seasons. And that just illustrates the value of the draft and undrafted free agency because you can bring rookies in at very, very effective prices. And Mason, 5.3 yards per carry, great closer for the 49ers over 3 years, was delivering at a very effective price. Again, $818,000 a season. But those times end, rookie deals end. We know very well about that based on all the 49ers departures this offseason and also based on the fact that they have to find a new deal with quarterback Brock Purdy this offseason, which is going to make him exponentially more expensive. So Mason was in a similar boat, same rookie class as Brock Purdy in 2022, restricted free agent, big pay bump, finds a new contract with the Minnesota Vikings, but the 49ers are able to squeeze draft value out of it. And that's what we do need to talk about. Obviously, the big point of focus has been the 49ers construction of the defensive line, how they're going to do that through the draft. And I've shown all these case studies, these examples. The 2024 defense didn't have a whole lot of draftees at the core of its line, and it didn't perform well. You look back at a 2019 49ers model where you see all of these draft picks. They're shaded in gold in the middle. I've been using this graphic a couple times. We're going to feature it here throughout the course of this pre-draft process because we can see how the Rams have built using the draft. We can see how a team like the Philadelphia Eagles has built the defensive line through the draft. That's what the 49ers have to do at that specific position. That obviously is their plan. But I think that optimization across all positions for the NFL draft is something worth zooming out and discussing in a show like this. The 2025 draft looks particularly strong at three distinct positions: defensive end, defensive tackle, and running back. So when you talk about optimizing ahead of that event, obviously you're going to discuss the amount of picks. 49ers have the most in the NFL with 11. But then you focus on positions where you can maximize your chances of success. And those positions are the ones that have the most talent in the NFL draft. Jordan Mason traded to the Vikings as the 49ers running back 3 is going to move up to running back 2 behind Aaron Jones in Minnesota. The 49ers believe that they can replenish the running back 3 spot behind Christian McCaffrey and Isaac Guerendo with another rookie running back. And yes, that is one of the position groups that is particularly strong in this NFL draft. I don't think the 49ers are going to use a ultra high pick at running back. So somebody like Ashton Genty, the Heisman Trophy finalist out of Boise State, as good of a player as he is, very likely to not come to the 49ers. But you can go down the list to see a lot of other premium talent at this position between Omarion Hampton, Caleb Johnson, who's a bigger bruising running back, 224 pounds, same weight as Jordan Mason out of Iowa. Travion Henderson, lighter running back, but a faster running back, 4'4" guy out of Ohio State. Dylan Sampson, or another, Quinshon Judkins is another running back from Ohio State, but Dylan Sampson out of Tennessee, that's a small or very small back. He's 5'8", but he can run 4.3, 540. I'm going through some of the upper end prospects, and we could always, trickle down to somebody who's expected to go mid to lower rounds, like Cam Scatterbu. I know people love him out of Arizona State. Wait to see him run his 40 at his pro day, but he wore a Christian McCaffrey jersey on his way to one of the Arizona State games this year. He's obviously a 49ers fan. I believe he's from California. I think he's from the Sacramento area. But this is a loaded class of running backs. And the bottom line is that the 49ers see a way to replace running back 3, Jordan Mason, who was behind Christian McCaffrey and Isaac Guerendo in the projected pecking order, with one of these cost-controlled talents. And Mason himself was a cost-controlled talent at only $818,000 a year. So efficiency and sentimentality don't mix. I get that a lot of fans are sentimental about the Jordan Mason run, and he seems to be a player that people really latched onto. They called it, the Jordan Mason hive. I mean, there was a lot of hype around Jordan Mason, and I think that his time with the 49ers was very successful. Anytime you can go from an undrafted free agent, somebody who was actually buried behind Jahmyr Gibbs on the depth chart at Georgia Tech, and you could turn into the 49ers closer, which he was in that 2022 season. Remember, he sealed the division title at Seattle with that big run late in the game when Brock Purdy was playing with a broken rib. To go from the closer back up to somebody thrust into action as the starter, and he had 6 starts where he ran really well, including 100 yards against his future team, the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, that's a hell of a story coming up from where he did. I'm in Nashville right now, and Jordan Mason is from this Nashville area. And his family was all at the preseason game against the Titans this year. It was cool to see so many people in Mason jerseys. But, this is a big step for Jordan Mason, and it's a big step for the 49ers because everybody can shake hands and win. Mason, all the hard work that he's put in, is able to say that he now has a contract that will truly make him wealthy at $6 million per year from the Minnesota Vikings. And the 49ers can say, we're moving on to the next running back who can deliver cost-controlled efficiency. We can go flip the page back to ultra youth at the position, right? When they acquired Mason, he was 22. Now he's 25. Hopefully he's got some prime years left, but the 49ers are going to reset the clock and move on at the position behind Christian McCaffrey and Isaac Guerendo. I think that the main thing to consider, everything the 49ers are doing in terms of building their offense has to be viewed through the lens of tailoring the attack for Brock Purdy's skill set. And whenever you talk about that, you consider that it is very melded with how Kyle Shanahan likes to call games. That's why Purdy is Kyle Shanahan's selected quarterback. And whenever we think about a Kyle Shanahan offense, we think about receivers who are efficient out of the backfield in the pass game. And this is an area where Jordan Mason was not quite as good. We can take a look at yards per route run out of the backfield. Blue is above average for running backs. Red is below average for running backs. Jordan Mason down in the red. Just for whatever reason, did not vibe with the 49ers pass game the way that Christian McCaffrey and Isaac Guerendo did. That's why McCaffrey and Guerendo are 1-2 within the structure of the 49ers offense. That's why Mason was projected to be number 3. Minnesota willing to pay him as an upper end number 2, which is great. That's condition for a trade. That means all the parameters are lined up. Minnesota values Jordan Mason differently than the 49ers did. There's nobody wrong in this instance. The 49ers are just in a different situation than the Vikings. But the 49ers situation is one of tailoring the backfield around Brock Purdy. And that's what they're going to do with their next pick in this NFL draft, or not their very next one. One of the picks in this NFL draft is almost certainly going to go to the running back position. I've already noted what some of those 5th-round picks have done for the 49ers in terms of netting really good players. This is also worth noting. When the 49ers traded for Christian McCaffrey in 2022, part of the haul was a 5th-round pick that they sent the Carolina Panthers. That pick eventually ended up with the New York Giants, who last year used it to pick Tyrone Tracy Jr. He had a good rookie season. This is a running back who was solid out of the backfield as a pass catcher. So it's yet another illustration. And then Jordan Mason himself is an illustration because he was an undrafted free agent. But Tyrone Tracy Jr.'s success is another illustration that you can find value at right about the level of compensation that the 49ers got back for Jordan Mason in the draft. And that value is obviously going to come at about a 6th or maybe a 5th of the price against the salary cap. That's just how NFL economics work. Efficiency has to come over sentimentality, and efficiency can help you set up for the NFL draft. Why don't we take a look at how the 49ers have to perform in this draft by looking at previous year's production? Because a lot of San Francisco's problems right now trace back to their struggles in 2 specific drafts, 2022 and 2023. I'll go all the way back to 2021, which set up some of the tougher times in 2022 and 2023 because of the trade for this guy, Trey Lance. When San Francisco gave up 3 first-round picks and traded 2 to move up to the first-round pick, but essentially gave up 3 by actually selecting Trey Lance, they cratered their premium pick potential in the years 2022 and 2023. They didn't regain a first-round pick until 2024, and I don't think that it's an accident that the 2024 draft look a whole lot better than 2022. But back to 22, Drake Jackson hasn't panned out yet for the 49ers. Ty Davis-Price is now with the Eagles. He spent last season on their practice squad. Danny Gray, no longer with San Francisco. Spencer Burford, I think, has shown to be reserve offensive line caliber at best for the 49ers, probably moving to tackle now after we saw him at swing tackle last year. Samuel Womack no longer with the team, although he's done some good stuff with Indianapolis. Nick Zakelj will compete with Ben Barch for the left guard spot, but hasn't yet emerged into a starter. Kalia Davis, defensive tackle, is on the team, but hadn't quite shown the 49ers big-time starting potential yet. He's a rotational guy at best at this moment. Tariq Castro-Fields not on the team. It's not a good haul, except for this guy who saved it, Brock Purdy at pick number 262. That saved the 49ers from the Lance pick, but what Purdy's selection didn't do is replenish the cupboard that the 49ers had depleted to trade up for Lance, and I think that hurt them in the 2022 draft. 2023 was a little bit better, but still, it's a struggle for San Francisco. Jair Brown regressed in year 2 as a safety. The 49ers are now setting up a competition at that Jair Brown safety spot. So we'll see if he can power through this and really make that 3rd-round pick for the 49ers look good. But I still think that it's TBD for him entering year 3. Very TBD, obviously, for Jake Moody, who struggled big time after that high ankle sprain in year 2. Cameron Latu, that did not work out. He's long gone from the 49ers. Darrell Luter Jr., well, it's a problem when the 2 biggest plays that we remember from Darrell Luter Jr. are special teams gaffes, one in the Super Bowl, one against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year, both on punt return. Robert Beal Jr. has been a rotational defensive end for this team, but hadn't really approached what the 49ers would hope that his ceiling would be based on his athletic measurements. This might be the year of D. Winters. I know the 49ers really believe in him. That'd make the 2023 draft class look a little bit better. But as of right now, he is linebacker depth. He's got a chance to slide into Dre Greenlaw's role. We'll see how Winters seizes the opportunity. Braden Willis has been a reserve tight end. Everybody knows about Ronnie Bell's struggles. He's no longer with the 49ers. And like D. Winters, Jalen Graham has a shot to take the next step this season. As you guys can see, the 2022 and 2023 draft classes, no bueno on the whole. Brock Purdy salvaged a whole lot. And the 49ers, I think, are trying to make up some ground now from the depth perspective of this football team, and then also from the front line perspective of this football team with how they approach the 2024 draft and how they're going to approach this 2025 draft. And the reason that I clumped 2024 and 2025 in together is because it seems that the 49ers might have figured something out when it came to the 2024 draft. Pearsall, 18 targets over the final 2 games, good enough to give the 49ers a really good feeling about replacing Deebo Samuel. I think Ricky Pearsall is on the right track. Renardo Green, definitely on the right track for the 49ers. Made them feel okay about letting Charvarius Ward walk in free agency. Dominic Puni looks like another hit for the 49ers. Starting offensive lineman for San Francisco. It was massive for the 49ers to find that at the guard position this last year. And now they can focus on upgrading the rest of the offensive line. Malik Mustafa, even bigger for the 49ers. They needed a safety. He was a star for the 49ers. He's on the fast track to becoming a 49ers foundational pillar. Isaac Guerendo, well, we're talking about Jordan Mason. The reason they're able to trade Jordan Mason is because of the emergence of Guerendo. So the first 5 picks here all look like hits for the 49ers. Compared to what they did in 2023 and 2022, yes, that's a big step up. Now we'll see what the rest of the class can do. Kingston is no longer part of the team. He's now with the Carolina Panthers. He didn't fit on the 53-man roster last year, so the Panthers were able to scoop him up. But Cowing is going to be under a microscope this season, and I'm going to be personally really interested to see what Tatum Bethune is able to do for the 49ers, because he can also toss his hat into that linebacker competition. I would say, because and we're still TBD on Cowing and Bethune, but I can highlight the first 5 names on the 2024 list and say that the 49ers took some really, really nice swings in the NFL draft. So now, knowing how they succeeded there, we can move forward to 2025. I think that when you look at what the 49ers did in that 2024 draft, I think research and development had a much stronger hand than just gut feeling in how the 49ers picked. Every single one of those players did something specifically well that the 49ers zeroed in on as a potential point of value, as a potential point of, okay, this guy is going to fit with what our coaching staff wants. From Malik Mustafa's explosiveness to Isaac Guerendo's historically good relative athletic score, to the fact that Dominic Puni had that short shuttle that was just absurd for a lineman of his size, to the fact that Ricky Pearsall had some excellent speed metrics, the 49ers really were able to scientifically target traits that would fit in their system, and they saw results with the 2024 class. I believe that the 49ers have now developed a process that they're very confident in after doing this for, eight times through the Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch era. So they developed a process that they're extremely confident in. They know that this 2025 NFL draft is a nexus. It is absolutely critical for the future of this team as we talk about the build of the 49ers. And they're going to let R&D cook again in this 2025 draft. And that's why they've been so focused on optimizing draft positioning through moves that people might consider microtransactions or smaller moves, like the Jordan Mason trade that moves them up into the 5th round, maybe even the Deebo Samuel trade that moved them initially into the 5th round. But the better and better that this haul looks for the 49ers, even if it's optimizations in the bottom rounds, gives their draft process a higher chance of working, especially if it's very analytically R&D oriented. Because what we have to remember about the NFL draft is that it's like throwing darts up against the wall. You're never going to be guaranteed to hit, but sometimes you will find a bullseye. I liken it to stepping back from the wall. If you're only a couple feet away from the dartboard, that's your first round pick, right? That might be pick number 11. It's not as hard to hit on a higher pick, but it's much harder to hit later on in the draft. Once you're talking about pick number 160, which the 49ers picked up from Minnesota, pick number 249 in the 7th round, pick number 252. Well, that's like throwing the dart from 20 or 30 yards away. In the case of pick 262 in 2022, the 49ers hit a bullseye. Great for San Francisco, but it's obviously not the highest probability thing to do. That's why you want as many throws against the wall as possible. I think that the 49ers are very excited about their top 100 picks. There's 4 in the top 100. It's important to hit on most of these and then maybe hit on half the rest of the way. So if you can get another 5, 6 player success story from this 2025 draft, just like you saw in 2024, well, you're going to be well on your way as the 49ers, especially if you could hit along that defensive line. And that just happens to be where this draft class is particularly strong. So that's the strategy. You replenish with efficiency over sentimentality. Jordan Mason, he wins with his new deal with the Minnesota Vikings. The 49ers believe that they've also won a win-win because they pick up some improved draft capital, more financial efficiency, and a chance to dip into a draft class that is strong at Mason's position and is also very, very strong at the positions where the 49ers most acutely need that cost-controlled help. Starts with the defensive line. That's the 49ers strategy. That is another San Francisco alarm update. If you want to know what the 49ers are doing in that building in Santa Clara, well, hopefully this explains the tactics that the 49ers are using moving forward.